Facebook.
And then if we can ask everyone to mute themselves before we get started. Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. So nice to see so many today and so many new faces as well. We're glad that you're here. My name is Tracy Irby, and I am the director at TWU, Center for Women Entrepreneurs. We also have Donna Lisa Stinyard on. She is our program director. And if you have questions on anything, feel free to send those to her through the chat box once our speaker starts. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Center for Women Entrepreneurs was funded in 2015 by the state legislature just to help women entrepreneurs anywhere in the state of Texas. And they thought, what better place than Texas Women's University? Sometimes people think you have to be affiliated with the school to use our services, but we're open to women anywhere in the state of Texas. The Center for Women Entrepreneurs is part of the larger Jane Nelson Institute for Women's Leadership. The Jane Nelson Institute is dedicated to preparing women to take on successful roles in business and public service to ensure women have the education to establish careers as successful C-suite executives, the skills for building entrepreneurial businesses, and the framework needed to run for public office. Our center helps women through small business advising, networking and training events like the one we're going to attend that we're in right now, training, and we also fund research into women entrepreneurs, women in business, issues that affect them in the workplace. So again, we're so happy to have all of you here today. And again, Donna Lisa is going to be the one you'll send any questions you may have for our speaker. So I am going to go ahead and introduce her and we will get started. Just a note, we will have networking again afterwards as well. And if you like, put your information in the chat box. So this morning we have Kissena Sheets as our speaker. She is the owner of Back Office Credit Solutions, LLC, a financial consulting company. She provides financial strategies to help business owners maximize their potential, increase cash flow, and secure business financing. Kissena has over 16 years in the banking and finance industry. She served as vice president for top financial institutions, specializing in wealth management and business lending. Her wealth building approach matures her clients in the areas of growth, management, protection, and transfer of assets. Kissena served in the United States Army, where she earned the rank of sergeant and received numerous Army commendation medals. She received her BAAS degree from the University of North Texas and is an alumni member of the Honor Society Phi Kappa Phi. So without anything else, I am pleased to announce our speaker for today, Kissena Sheets.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to present to this group today of ladies. And I'm not sure if there's some gentlemen on here as well, but I want to make sure I am very inclusive. The first thing is I want to make sure that everyone can hear me okay. I know sometimes okay, perfect. And I just wanted to thank you for the bio and my background. I'm really passionate about helping women accelerate to the next level, especially financially. Most times finances are one of the top reasons a lot of businesses struggle or, are unprepared or not able to make it. So one area that I realized even in my banking industry was about business credit. And of course, I didn't learn that as much in that industry because it's kind of counter what we were offering. But when you look at it, it actually enhances what traditional banks offer. And so I want you, as I go through this presentation, to think about that and being able to double your purchasing power in a way that you won't have a long period of time to wait to meet the parameters of traditional banking, but another way to accelerate the growth that will allow you to get some sort of funding that you can help you with propelling your business forward. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. And am I able to share my screen? All right. Okay, can you ladies see my screen? All right, perfect. You put that, I've got a little box over here and move over to one side. All right. Can you see a little green box on my screen as well? Or just a presentation? Just a presentation. All right, very good. Okay, well, again, my name is Kissena Sheets. I am the owner of Back Office Credit Solutions, where we do provide financial consulting to business owners. We help them with securing business funding, and really we're an advisory service, helping you with structuring and knowing where to go to get the funding that you need. A lot of business owners are unable to determine or may not be privy to the appetites of certain banks. Some banks will fund some things, some banks don't. For an example, so you have banks that will fund restaurants, and then you have others that may not. So just getting through, just knowing where to navigate and where to go to get funding is one area of focus that we have. But today we're going to focus on business credit. And I do want to bring up a disclosure. I'm not an attorney. And I'm not an accountant. I just have my years and years of banking and wealth management experience, which has allowed me to really help a lot of people. But for legality purposes, I want to make sure I put that there. So what is business credit? I know it has been a term that has been thrown around quite frequently lately, especially during the pandemic. A lot of people are wondering, okay, what am I hearing about this business credit? How does it work? I have a loan. I don't need a loan. Banks are declining me. How can I go about doing this? Where really business credit is being able to secure certain sorts of financing in the strength of the business. To put it simple, just like you have your personal credit scores and a personal credit report, your business also has the exact same report. It has a score. It has what you've purchased. It has what you've paid on time. And a lot of people aren't privy to knowing that that business credit report is out there. And mainly business credit allows you to build relationships with certain vendors, retailers, getting lines of credit, traditional banks, alternative lenders that will look at your business credit report and say, okay, based upon how long she's been in business, which you can be in business 60, 90 days, based upon how he or she has paid this back, I'm not really concerned about the revenue right now. I just want to see their character on this piece of paper and how their ability to be able to pay back. How have they been paying back? And that's what business credit is all about. It's all about how you pay. All about how you pay. And we'll go into that here pretty shortly. Business credit is wonderful, I will say, for startups. So if you just received or created your entity, just received your EIN, This is perfect because chances are if you go into a bank, you might not get the funding that you need depending upon what you're trying to accomplish. But business credit is a great way to get your credit scores established where you can start getting the things that you need. And we'll move forward. So I talked about the importance a little bit about business credit. But one of the most important benefits of having business credit is it's not going to be shown on your personal credit. Your personal credit does not even come into play. So if you have a credit score that is tottering on, the low side, you can still build your business credit. You can still get funding without even having to worry about, oh my gosh, they're going to pull my credit. Oh my goodness, I need to work on this. Now, I'm not saying do not work on your personal credit because that is paramount. But what I am saying is that you have the ability to get funding even though you've had some hiccups or a little bit of turbulence in the past when it comes to your personal credit. Business credit is a lot cheaper than personal credit because you don't typically have to worry about interest rates initially. Quicker way to get funds, so you don't have to worry about the 2-year time frame or the 3-year time frame with traditional banks. And then it also is a clear distinction. So when you're dealing with business and your business credit and your business finances, strictly business. No one's looking at your personal credit at all. And then of course the cost, and we'll talk about that in the long run, is going to be a little less expensive for you as well. So the goal is not to have to PG or personally guarantee your loan, meaning that if something were to happen, if your business didn't go the way that you thought and you may have to close doors, then your personal credit is not going to be impacted as it would if you were putting things in your personal name to fund your business. And we do that. A lot of us do that. When we first start, we use our personal credit cards, we use our cash in the bank, we use our lines of credit. And then when your business is at a point where you may need more, you go to the bank and it's, oh, you're over leveraged. We can't fund you because your utilization is too high. And so then you're like, okay, now what do I do? So some of the other benefits, as I mentioned, no credit checks with business credit when you're applying for business credit. And I'm just sharing the benefits and I'll go into how you get the business credit. The other is business credit is not based upon the ability for the owner to pay back the loan, but the ability for the business to pay back the loan. Okay. And then I mentioned early on about double purchasing power. So if you do have credit cards or lines of credit or a loan that you have the ability to obtain because you had a good credit score, well, if you're able to also build your business credit, you're going to have double purchasing power. You can get the best of both worlds, business credit and traditional financing. And we'll talk about that in just a few moments. I want to make sure I'm on time because I can get a little long-winded. Payment options. So with business credit, you have the ability to pay back in 20-day, net 20, net 30, net 55, net 60. And all that means is to pay that vendor, supplier, or lender back within that time period. So for instance, Office Depot gives you a net 20. That means you can purchase items from them, but you need to pay it back in 20 days or less. Okay, there's no interest, you just pay back, and it is a full term. So you have to pay back the entire balance in that time period. We talked about personal liability. If it's all in the business name, so you as the owner of the business are not personally guaranteeing, which means they're not going to come after your personal assets when you're dealing with business credit. And then also the approvals are much higher and you can you're constantly building your business credit. So if let's say a retailer gives you a line of credit of $5,000 and you've been paying on time, you've been using it, a few months down the road, you can call them and ask them to give you a higher limit. And chances are they're going to do it because they're going to look to see how you've been paying. And then also business credit is a great way to expedite your business credit scores because you're constantly going to be purchasing from different vendors and also adding different trade lines onto your business credit report. All right, so let's see here. Okay. One thing I want to talk about really quickly is the pandemic. We're all going through this. I have been sharing about business credit for quite some time. What happened during the pandemic when a lot of businesses were unable to fulfill or become productive because things were shut down, the revenue was not coming in. And a lot of people now saw the benefit of having business credit because now you still have the ability to go to different stores. For my builders, you had Home Depot, you've got Lowe's, you have Office Depot, you have Dell, you've got Best Buy. I mean, there's so many, everybody has a commercial account, even my truckers, Advanced Auto, AutoZone, Riley's, all of these places, they have the ability to still go in, get the things that they need to conduct the business and then get paid by their end user and continue their business. And that's the most important thing, because as revenue is not coming in and maybe a lender might decrease your credit line, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is a time that I need this. Benefits of the business credit helped a lot of businesses with keeping the lights on. So let me go in, and there was another screen I thought I'd placed in here, but apparently, and I apologize for that. So what are some of the uses for business credit? As I just mentioned, you have credit cards that you can get in business credit. You can order supplies, office supplies, depending upon the type of industry you're in. I have clients who are retailers, so they purchase products overseas. You have the ability to, you know, whatever your industry is, there's a commercial account for that. Trust me. And it's a convenient way to keep up with your expenses because you're not having to worry about interest rates increasing or decreasing. And so if you're looking at your cash flow, you can manage that more efficiently as you're doing your day-to-day operations. Marketing is huge. A lot of my clients use business credit for marketing purposes. At some point in time, not immediately, but after maybe 12 months, as you start building on your business credit, you're able to get equipment, auto, real estate. Now that doesn't happen overnight. You've got to continue to build, but have I seen it happen? Absolutely. Startups, expansions, the list goes on. So the reporting agencies, and excuse me for one moment. The reporting agencies, you've all heard of D&B. You've got Equifax commercial credit, Experian commercial credit. There are some other repositories that lenders use, such as a small business financial exchange. I know when I was a lender, when I was in banking, that's what we used to pull different, pull information for clients. LexisNexis is another. Credit Safe is another repository for business credit. If you have not pulled your LexisNexis, and I'm off beat here, but if you've not pulled your LexisNexis credit report, you need to pull that report. You need to get a copy of that report. They're going to mail it to you, so you have to order it and mail it. But that report shows so much information. It shows every home that you've purchased, every phone number you've had, every email you've had, every license you've had, insurance, claims, loans, any violations, your criminal background. I mean, it is almost scary how much information LexisNexis has on you. And a lot of business credit suppliers and lenders will look at LexisNexis to see whether or not you're a viable candidate. Not necessarily saying, okay, well, you've had some hiccups here and, you know, like divorce, all that stuff is not going to come into play. But what they will do is verify the legitimacy of your business. Okay. So I wanted to make sure, but these three, D&B, Equifax, and Experian, are the three main business credit bureaus. All the others are repository holding spots, but these are the ones you want to concern yourself about. And the D&B, we've all heard of Dun & Bradstreet. They're the largest credit reporting agency. They've been around forever. This is the one you want to keep your eye on, because this is the one most lenders and most retailers will pull from to see how you've paid, how you're structured, who the owners are, your revenue, all of that stuff, or that is going to be reported to your D&B. Okay. D&B also measures your financial stability, right? Just like on your personal credit, you've got some late pays, you have some charge-offs. This is their way, of lenders' way, to find out how your business is working. D&B also allows you to to win bids. So if you're doing government contracting, just know they're pulling your D&B credit report. Okay. It's also a way to lower your insurance, your commercial insurance liability, lower interest rates, have more attractive payment terms, higher credit trade limits. So D&B is really a powerhouse, and making sure that your D&B is in order. The first thing you want to do is you want to pull that D&B report, and we'll talk about that here shortly. So the business credit scores, in comparison to commercial and consumer, your business credit score looks at what are the risks of you going out of business or making late payments within the next 12 months. And a consumer is 24 months. So if you've ever looked at your personal credit report, just know that your late pays will fall off after 2 years. Okay, even though you see it on your true Experian, Equifax, to calculate your FICO, it's 24 months. So just know if you're late on something, it's going to fall off. It's not going to be calculated into your score at all. Same for business credit. You've got 12 months, a 12-month cycle. Okay, so that's even better. Just wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because some people will say, I've been late. I lost my job, and that was, 3 years ago. And I was, I know I have all these late payments. I see it on my credit report, and they're so concerned about that, but it's not calculating into your score after a 24-month period. Okay. So your D&B, when you apply for a Dun & Bradstreet number, they're going to give you a 9-digit code that you want to keep safe, right? You want to know what that number is, because as you're applying for different things, you'll want to pull your Dun & Bradstreet credit report. You'll want to see what is being reported. You want to set up alerts to know if it's changed or if someone has requested information. And this is public information as well. So anyone can go in and pull your business credit report, and it's free. So if someone is telling you, you know what, if you pay me, I'll get you a D&B number. No, it is free. So please, please, please. Now there may be a small cost to expedite it, but the D&B itself, it is free, and you have access to their portal. You can see what's reporting. You can dispute things that you feel that are inaccurate. So you want to make sure that everything on your D&B is yours, because remember, a lot of business credit isn't regulated like personal credit. They will map your information from your known address, your business address. It could be a phone number. It could be the business name. And we all know that there are businesses that have very similar names. So you want to make sure everything that's on your D&B is yours. If you had a partnership, or if you acquired a portion of your business, or you bought out a partner, you want to make sure everything on there is as it should be. Your score can range from 0 to 100, with 100 being the best. So the goal is to at least have an 80 plus score. Now the 80 plus score is like having maybe a 700 on your personal credit score. You can pretty much go in and when you request a line or something, someone's going to give it to you. okay? But also keep in mind that just like your personal credit score, there's also a thing called a thin credit file. So you might have a Paydex score of 100, but you only have 2 trade lines. So think about that. You've got to have enough trade lines on there to make a supplier or a vendor comfortable in providing a trade line, or access to products and services to you. All right. So I put this in here really quickly because I just wanted to share with you. Most people know how your personal credit score is calculated, but it's on the screen. You've got the 5 factors. Well, with business score, business credit, the only thing that they are concerned about is how you pay back. How you pay back. Okay. Now, banks might be concerned, traditional banks might be concerned about your utilization and that, but this is all in how you pay back. Small portions of that is how long you've been in business, and that's just because they want to see when you start getting into the $100,000 lines of credit, 150, they want to make sure that you didn't just open your business. But, you know, I just wanted to share those differences. This screen, if you're going to get the slides, the presentation, but D&B and their Paydex score, this is how your scores are mostly, this is heavily weighted on how your scores are assessed. So let's say you go in and you purchase a, let's see, who's Office Depot, and they have a net 20, meaning you have to pay back in 20 days. Well, if you look on this, if you pay them within 7 to 10 days, you're going to maximize your point system when it comes to your Paydex score, your credit score. If you pay the day of that your payment is due, then you still get some pretty good scoring on there, but not as much as if you would have paid, you know, 5 to 10 days prior to your payment date. So it's all about how you pay. So if you want to take a snapshot of this, feel free. D&B has it on their site as well. But if you pay late, you will show a late pay and not paying according to terms on your D&B credit report, and that will hurt you. It will drop your score. So most times what I tell my clients is, you know, when they send me their invoice, I will tickle my system to make sure that they're paying on time. And you can do this as well. You just put it as a reminder on your calendar to pay so many days ahead so that you do not forget to pay. Because as I told you, this is one of the heavily weighted paying indexes. This is how it's all calculated. So you want to make sure that one thing is done in order to get your score where it needs to be. Okay. So we talked about D&B. We're going to move on into Experian and another Experian commercial, and one of the other business credit bureaus. And I like to sometimes just go through the history of it really quickly, but it was in electronics, and it just propelled to where we are now. Just for sake of time, I won't go in, but it's a great story of how Experian started. Their scoring system is known as the Intelliscore. So when you start seeing Intelliscore and the derogatory scoring and the depictor score and all of those, just know that they coincide with one of the bureaus. And for Experian, it's the Intelliscore. And their scores go from 0 to 100 as well. 80 being just like the D&B, but that scoring system is that. So if you see, oh, my score is only a 60, well, you're almost there. So don't fret. Just probably need to get a few more trade lines in there, and you'll be just fine. Let's see here. One thing I did not mention about the Paydex score, D&B also has what's called a supplier evaluation risk score. So this is what suppliers will use to see if they are going to offer you some of their, a line of credit. It predicts the likelihood of if you're going to go into a bankruptcy or if you're going to close doors. So they use that, and it goes alongside, runs in parallel with your Paydex score. And pay attention to that. When you get to your D&B report, you're going to see the different scores. And there's a reason why they have that highlighted, because it's extremely important. Then they also have a stability score or fundability score. You want to make sure that that is in alignment as well. But pay attention to that Paydex, because everything is going to run in alignment with one another. And we talked about that here. So your scores, I know one of the main questions I get consistently is, well, how long does it take to build my credit? How long does it take to build my business credit report? And the answer is just a matter of months. It doesn't take a long time to build your business credit. It just takes months. And the reason I say months is you have to make small purchases, and we'll talk about that, in order for something to reflect on your business credit report. Just as you have a loan, you make the monthly payments, that increases or decreases depending upon how you pay your personal credit score. So just like that, the business is the same. So you want to make sure you're getting vendors who report. That's most important, making sure that they report. And you have a right to ask them, do you report to the business credit bureaus? If so, which ones? And that will allow you to make an informed decision on whether or not you want to move forward with them, or if they have a competitor who is reporting. So you'll be able to make that determination, but you do have the right to ask them. So let's see, let me make sure I'm not missing on, okay, so we'll go to, before we go to Experian. I don't know, Donna Lisa, how much am I get on time, or am I running a little?
You've got about 15 minutes, Kissena.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. Now, Experian also has what's called a BIN number. And when you start building credit with Experian, the business identifier identification number is going to be a number where a lot of lenders they'll want to know. If you have an Experian number, then they know that there's something reporting on that Experian report. And that is usually used for credit cards and non-traditional type of lenders to see how much they're going to qualify you for. So that is extremely important as well. Equifax commercial credit is also the other business credit bureau I like to highlight. And again, I like to go into history, but just for sake of time, but just know this started from grocery store and being able to give people groceries on credit. So they use different scoring systems, and Equifax is part of the Small Business Financial Exchange. If you've not heard of that, write that down. Small Business Financial Exchange. That's another repository for business credit scores that lenders use. And Equifax is huge on that. So what that means is whatever's reported on that Small Business Financial Exchange, Equifax has the ability to compile that information and sell it. All right. And so that the Small Business Financial Exchange, I know that's what we use in the banking industry, is most important with cash lenders, meaning those who are going to give you, strict lines of credit, not a retailer, or vendor supplier card that's straight MasterCard or other types of lines of credit. And they house information from banks, from various types of lenders, leases, things like that. So when you have an opportunity, the small business, pull your Equifax report, and you'll be able to see exactly what is on that report as well. Now, the scores on Equifax are a little different. They go up to, I think the highest I've seen is maybe 620. So they go from 0 to 620, with 620 not being good. You want to make sure, because that is your risk score. Okay, so you're a high risk, you want to be a low risk. And so pulling that, and we'll talk about how you pull that as well. We talked about the consumer profile, so I'm not going to touch on that here. Let's see. Let me see why that's not moving to the next. Okay. All right. So the most important thing that when I start talking about business credit is how do I establish it? So get ready to take some notes because this is the area that you'll probably really want to focus on. So the first thing is making sure that your business is in full compliance. And what I mean by that is I know that when you have opened up your business account or you created your entity, you probably didn't know where you're going to end up as far as address and things like that. So what people do is they put their home address, but they never go back to the Secretary of State to change it to where they are now. So if you have a virtual office, if you have a brick and mortar, everything with business credit has to be in alignment. Everything has to match across the board. And so with lenders, what they're going to do is they're going to pull from your, see what's registered with the Secretary of State to see if your company is in viable condition, if it's still active, you don't owe, you've paid your franchise and all that good stuff. And then your EIN. So your EIN, you need to make sure whatever your address is with the state is what you're using when you submit your applications to different lenders, when you're applying for anything. Everything has to be correct. And I'll tell you why. I've had so many people come to me and tell me that they were denied this SBA disaster relief because their business was not verifiable. It wasn't verifiable. And so that leads me to believe that your business compliance isn't in order, because they should easily be able to find you. They should easily be able to verify your business, where you are, how long you've been conducting business, as such. Make sure if you started this business out as a hobby and you started out as a sole proprietor. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a sole proprietor, but it's very difficult, almost impossible, to establish business credit as a sole proprietor, because you're really operating as you, the person. And so business credit is having the ability not to do that. You want to make sure that everything is in the business. So an LLC, S Corp, corporation, nonprofits can also build business credit as well. So you want to make sure that if you're licensed, you've got your bond, if you're bonded. I know I have a silo of credit counseling and restoration. I have to get bonded. So I have to follow certain guidelines and laws. So you want to make sure that you have your business is in full compliance if you are required to have a license. All right, so let's talk about some of the other things. So if you do have a DBA, make sure that you're using that across the board. Whatever you're using as your business name, you want to use that on every document that you are submitting. Right? Your EIN, please don't let people tell you, and I know most people on here already have your businesses established, but it does not cost you anything to get your EIN registered. I have seen so many posts where people are like, I'll charge a small fee to get your EIN. No, you can go to the irs.gov and get your own EIN. Business addresses, no post office boxes, no UPS virtual boxes. This was one of the main culprits of businesses not being verifiable. Okay, so if you've got to use your home address, it's the predictability, I know with the pandemic, a lot of people moved home, and I'm one of them. Trust me, I'm not working in my office. But I will say that if you're going to use your home address, make sure you have updated it with the Secretary of State, and you've updated it with all the other people that you have used in the past, so that you're not going to have discrepancies across the board. I tell you wholeheartedly, this is so, so important. Now know that when you update your information and someone does a Google search on you, if you have your home address, your home is going to show up on the Google search. And as a lender, what I did when someone came into the bank to apply for a loan, we had to do our due diligence. So I'm researching you. I'm researching everything I know. I'm looking at your social media. I'm looking at your website. I'm looking where you office. And the last thing you want is for somebody to have a picture of your home and knowing where you live. And that's why having a brick and mortar or a virtual office is so important. To have a mailbox, $25 a month. I've got contacts. I have no problem with helping you with setting that up, but no UPS. And banks, lenders, everyone has systems in place to know if it's a viable address or not, okay? 411, having the capability of having that informational. It's another reason why some people were denied because of not being able to be verified. So make sure you have that. Google Voice is not one. You cannot have a Google Voice, okay? So get rid of that, get VoIP. You have Ring Central, you have Grasshopper, you have, if you want to get there's some less expensive ones out there. Just make sure you have the 411, or you can go to listyourself.net where you can list yourself as a 411. There's a small cost involved, but you can certainly do that. But Google Voice is not one. You will get kicked back so many times because you're not going to be verified. And Google Voice, and also have a different number than your personal line as well, your personal cell phone. Now I know it's, as you're starting business, it's okay for tier 1 business credit, meaning reporting to the lowest tier of D&B. But as you start getting higher and you want those larger lines, you're going to have to legitimize your business. You're going to have to put some investment into your business to show that credibility. Because remember, the business credit is in the strength of the business. Since they cannot pull your personal credit, all they have to rely on is your business credit. And so they want to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And if you can invest into your business to get your own business phone number, business address, or virtual office, why should they invest in you if you're not investing in you? Okay. And of course you need your DUNS number. And that again is listyourself.net for the 411. Okay. And I'm going to go through here. Phone and fax numbers. I just mentioned that. Have your separate phone line. Please, please do not use Google Voice. Now, if you have a virtual assistant or something, fine. Your main office number cannot be a Google Voice. Your website, own it. Own your own domain. Don't have a WEX, own your site. Okay, so you can go to GoDaddy. There's so many other places that you can go. It's not expensive. Own your own site. They're going to go in, they're going to look at this. They're going to, when I say they, the ones you are applying for business credit with, this is how they're verifying you. This is how they're seeing how legitimate you are. A professional email address, no Google, no Gmail, no Yahoo, no Hotmail. Guys, if you are trying to build your business, you need to look professional. You need to be professional. Get rid of those. It takes, I think it's maybe $7 a month to have a professional email address. Okay, not expensive. And I know I'm saying that, and I know expense is relative, because I know when I started my business, I was penny pinching it out, so I know. So do a little bit at a time. And like I said, get started on tier 1. Tier 1, this is not going to matter. When you get to tier 2, tier 3, it's going to matter. Have a bank account. Separate your bank account. You've heard this 1,000 times. Legitimize yourself. Do not have your business running through your personal account. Don't care if you're a sole proprietor and you're like, this is me, have it separated. Licensing, if you are in a state that requires licensing, make sure you have it. Realtors, anyone that plumbers, whatever licensings or permits that you need to have, make sure that you have it, because D&B is going to want to report it. And just so you know, when you do ask for business credit with a bank account, why it's so important to have a business bank account is they're going to ask for references. As you start building your business credit, they're going to start asking for bank references. And what that means is they want to know if you have a business bank account. okay? They're gonna wanna know that. And they will know whether it's business or if it's personal, okay? So we talked about the business credit. So vendor lines. I spoke about the tier ones, the tier twos. There are so many tiers. I work within 6 tiers. The tier one, I'm looking to build your D&B. Get you set up with D&B, get some trade lines on D&B so that you can build to Experian, you can build to Equifax. The tier one is where you can have all your basics. You can have a Yahoo address if you have that. You can have your Google Voice if you need that. But I'm telling you, as soon as you start building, you're going to start getting denied because you want to have all those in place. So if you're in a space where you can do that, by all means, please do. Now the vendors to start building out your business credit. I've listed some. Now, I know some people use the Quill and all those other things. Well, with the pandemic, a lot of business credit has changed. The reporting has changed. So they're no longer reporting to the business credit bureaus. So when you are looking to apply for credit, again, you want to make sure that they are reporting to the business credit bureaus. Uline, Shirtsy, if you are a retailer or you deal with, they have t-shirts, promotional. So if you want to have your logo and things, it's a great way to get started with doing that on business credit. Granger, Strategic Network Solutions, they will give you ebooks, software to help you. And then Wells Fargo is a huge one for me. They've got the secured business card. They still report to the bureaus, put up $500. It's just like a line of credit. They report to all 3 bureaus. It's a phenomenal way to start establishing business credit. And not only that, but continue to make those payments on time. And I guarantee you they will increase your rate and make it an unsecured business card. Okay, those are if you have not started with your business credit, these are 5 great vendor accounts that you can certainly start with right away. Okay, and then as you build, we have the others. And that's where my, the advisory of what I do for my clients is I advise them on exactly what it is that they need to do, what they need to purchase. And the purchases, guys, are only $50 before taxes. And that's what starts building your credit. So you don't need to purchase things of $200, $300, $5,000. Just small purchases is all you need. And grow your business, be phenomenal. Continue to move forward, continue to work on that credit. The more you purchase, the more will be offered to you. You'll just start getting all of these offerings and take advantage of them. So that is the end of my presentation. If you need to reach out to me, if you'd love to have a consultation, feel free to schedule some time. I put the small link on there with the bit.ly, reach out, call, but I am more than happy to help you and look forward to hearing about a lot of your successes as you continue to move forward with your business credit. So that is all for me, Donalisa. I'm going to send it back to you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kissena. We do have some questions, and so we'll get started on that. Our first question was from Jamila. She says, is business credit like personal credit where you can get a free report each year?
Yes. Well, yes and no. Your D&B, when you sign up for them, you will have a portal. So you can always check your D&B credit report. For Experian and Equifax, there's a small charge to get your credit report. And so there's also the ability to have access to all 3 on a monthly basis. There is a site called nav.com. And there you can get you can get your Experian, your Equifax, and your D&B reports, and you can look at that anytime. They update them typically on a monthly basis, but D&B is the only one that you can get for free.
Okay. Carrie wanted to know, she is a sole proprietor licensed counselor in a private solo practice. How important is a business credit score for her?
The business credit is, I feel business credit is extremely important because you want to be able, at some point in time, she is going to want to expand her practice or her business. And if you're not building it, and let's say you've been in business for 3-5 years now, and there's nothing on any of your business credit reports, then people are, okay, well, what's going on? What's happening? So you want to start establishing now so that when you get to a point where you want to expand, then you have all of your scoring there. Again, it's a credibility and a legitimacy thing that you'll want to do. And businesses will take a look at that. Lenders will take a look at that.
Awesome. So then we did have quite a few questions about the credibility. So the first one was, how do you get a virtual office? I was interested to hear about that as well.
Absolutely. So there's so many out there. You have Regis. I have a partnership with one in Addison, Presidential. You have, what you would do is you would just Google virtual offices. And it doesn't mean that you have to office there. Some of them will allow you just to use their location as a mailbox. And so when someone Googles that location, they're going to see that nice, beautiful building wherever it is. But you can still be working from home. You're mailing anything that you want mailed to you. You put your home address or wherever you want those things delivered. So I know a lot of people use Regis. I think I love their layout. I think they're wonderful, but there are less expensive places here in the DFW and all across the US. So you would just Google virtual offices.
Okay. So we had, Linda wanted to know where you can go for a business phone number. She missed that part.
Yes, absolutely. So if you were to Google business voice phone, you would get a list. You have Ring Central. I love Ring Central. I'm a huge advocate for Ring Central because you can see there's so many analytics in the background to see when your phone rings the most, when, anything, who's calling, text. They give you an 800 number, fax number. You have Grasshopper. You have, phone.com. I would Google business voice over IPs. You can do VoIP, VoIP, and it'll bring up a full list of phones that you can use. And make sure you put in there with 411, just put with 411, and that will come up because some of them don't allow that. And then you're right back where you started. So you want to make sure that you have the 411 informational service listed.
Okay, Tanya wanted to know, do you need to open the 5 credit accounts every 60 to 90 days, or do you open them all in 60 to 90 days? I think that was the Uline and...
Yes, that's a great question. So I listed those as starters for you. You do not have to purchase them all at one time. It would, if you're trying to accelerate your score, you can go in and create an account and make a $50 purchase before taxes, pay that before, maybe 7 to 10 days before your due date so that it will report to the business credit bureaus. And you do not have to purchase from them on a monthly basis. Okay, you don't have to do that. You can order when you want. Now, the more you order, the better your credit scores will be, but it's not necessary because those foundation vendors are really going to allow you to build to the next tier, the higher lenders, where you're going to get the more retailer cards. It might be gas cards. It could be, Macy's. It could be, Dell, all the other commercial retailer accounts. And that's how you're going to build. That's just the base level.
Okay, great. So then, and I'm so sorry, it looks like Nico, but if I said it wrong, I apologize. She asked, does the 15-3 rule apply to business credit like it does for personal credit?
No. If you're speaking of the well, clarify on the 15.3 rule. Let me make sure we're talking about.
So Nico, if you want to pop on real quick and clarify, please do.
Thank you. I've been advised that if you pay a payment on like your personal credit cards 15 days before the due date, and then again 3 days before the due date, it helps boost the score.
That's what I thought you're speaking of. So I don't believe that helps boost your score. Number one, that's just my thought as a former lender. But the only thing you need to worry about on the business credit is making sure that you pay 7 to 10 days prior to the due date. That's the only thing you need to be concerned about.
So Jane asked, she doesn't have good access to the mailbox at her office location, so she uses her home address for all her mail. Is that okay?
Yes, you can use your home address for mailing and use your virtual office for everything else professional. Secretary of State, when you sign up to, or when you apply to become a, for vendor or supplier services, you want to use that professional email for every application. Professional email, the same phone number, the same email, the same website. You want to use everything on every, because that's what's going to report. And so if you're using one address here, home address here, then a business address here, what's going to happen is you're going to create more profiles for the business credit. And what you're going to find is this business credit profile is showing your home address. This business credit profile is showing your office address. And you have, let's say, 2 trade lines reporting on each of them. Well, that's minimizing your credit profile. And ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to have to take the time to collapse the 2, and that's going to take about 45 to 60 days to do. So that's why I say, to prevent all of that, make sure that you are using the exact same thing across the board. Otherwise, you're going to have a thin file when you should have had one that showed all 4 of those trade lines. I hope that made sense.
And then our last question was, do you recommend an 800 number over a local area code number?
I do. I do recommend an 800 number. It's okay to have a local number. I use both interchangeably. When I submit my applications, I do use my 800 number. But most times it depends on your business. So when I started my business, a large portion of it was credit restoration. And so for my clients, they see an 800 number come up, chances are they're not going to answer the phone for me. So I started using my local number and told them to program that in. So it depends upon the business that you're in, but I would certainly recommend the 800 number 100%.
Okay, and then I'm going to let one more question go, because I know this is something that Tracy preaches consistently, but we see it very often. And that was, what is an example of a professional email address?
Sure. Do you see my email address in my box where it has info@backofficecs.com? So when you purchase a domain name or a URL or your website, so if you have ABC Construction, then you have the ability to also purchase email accounts on that domain, where it can be Stacy@ABC Construction. And that's what a professional address is. It's from your domain most times, but just know what it isn't. And it is not AOL, something that everyone can get for free is a non-professional address in most cases. Yahoo, Gmail, AOL, Hotmail, Ymail, those are unprofessional addresses.
Awesome. All right. So Kissena, thank you so much. And we're going to turn it back over to Tracy.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And you guys can still reach out to me with questions. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. That was great. And you had such great information in there as well, helpful to so many. So we're so happy that you were able to be here. We are going to move into networking shortly if you want to stay. If not,
Absolutely.
again, thank you. Okay, great. And I think Donna Lisa has our upcoming events. We have some great things for you. And we want to, again, thank all of you who were able to take advantage of the professional headshots as well.
Yeah, this is, thanks so much, Kissena. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a poll up here for you to take and multitask. While you're taking the poll, I'll share our events that we are having. So our first event is our April WomenRISE is April 13th, and it will be funding your entrepreneurship journey, how to find capital your business needs. And we'll have Holly Burrow from People Fund that's going to do that for us. Our second thing, we are so excited. I know last year, if you were on, we did a lot of surveying about this. And so mark your calendars for April 10th. That is a Saturday. We're going to do a half-day workshop, online learning how to create dynamic and highly effective online courses for your business with Julie James from Playable Media. And she's one of our accelerator incubator cohorts that just did her pitch contest last week. And so this is going to be great. It's going to be from 9 to 12. And here's how this is going to work. You can register, but in order to get the replay link or the recording, you will have to attend the event live. So it will not be like WomenRISE. If you register, you get the link. You have to register and you have to attend. And like all of our events, it is absolutely free. So if you've been hankering to create an online course, this is where you need to be. And then finally, the last thing I want to share with you, this is something that we are super excited about. One of the things that Tracy has charged me with is to showcase more of our community through social media and other aspects. And so we are launching our Women's Founders Instagram TV Entrepreneur Series. So if you are a woman-owned business here in the state of Texas or a student entrepreneur at Texas Women's University, you can go to our Google form to fill it out. We will screen it and then we will do an interview with you that lasts less than like 30 minutes. And we will post that to our Instagram TV every Friday. Our first video, our first Instagram TV will launch on March 26th. So I know this was a lot of information. There is an email that is coming to your inbox at 10 o'clock this morning. So grab you a cup of coffee and be ready because it's going to show up. And I have to tell you, we already did, because we did do a few pre-interviews so that we would have the content on the 26th of March. And I'm super excited about our very first interview. Somebody that is near and dear to our heart, that has been a huge supporter. I'm not going to share, I'm not going to tell, it's a surprise. But we are so excited. So watch your inbox. If you are not on our email list, then you'll want to go to our website, TWU Center for Women Entrepreneurs. Scroll down to the bottom and get those updates. Lots of stuff.
Great. Thank you, Donna Lisa. I'm so excited for everything that's coming up and look forward to, and hope many of you will attend those as well. So very good. I think then we're about ready to go to our breakout rooms again.
Yes, let me get rid of this. So if you do not want to go to a breakout room, you can pop off. Yes, the April, the WomenRISE event is virtual, as well as the workshop is also virtual.
Janie, that was a great question, and maybe even going forward, even when